Welcome to Glowing Success. My name is Heidi and I am your host. This podcast is for beauty entrepreneurs. Join me weekly as we dive into the beauty industry's ins and outs, from business strategies, top-selling services, and taboo topics. I will be interviewing industry leaders with empowering stories and game-changing insights. Let's illuminate your path to success together. Let's jump into this next episode. Welcome back to Glowing Success. Today, I want to chat with you about how procrastination is the symptom and not the actual problem. So I feel like we all procrastinate a little bit, right? I definitely procrastinate. And unfortunately, I think statistics have actually shown that more than 88% of people, workers specifically, admit to procrastinating at least 1 hour a day, which is crazy. But we all kind of do it, right? Like, I definitely procrastinate. I think even procrastinating on doing this podcast episode, right? So we really need to look at the root cause of what's actually happening when you procrastinate, because then we can start to not procrastinate as much or not look at tasks as daunting, or we can start to kind of come up with a framework that works for you to actually accomplish things and not feel all the feelings at the same time. So one thing I will say about procrastination is, once you understand it's a symptom of something, so basically what happens is, like, your brain is not, you're not being lazy, because I feel like procrastination always has something aligned with being lazy or like something like that, whereas it's really not. What's happening when we procrastinate is actually, it's your brain protecting you from something uncomfortable. So essentially, we've kind of come up with something in our brain that decides that whatever task that you're procrastinating or whatever you're trying to avoid or whatever, and we'll kind of get into why, your brain is like, okay, this is going to make us uncomfortable. We need to do something else, or we need to not do this. So that's essentially what procrastinating does. But really, the root cause of what that uncomfortable feeling comes from is, everybody's a little different, but like, we maybe have a sense of failure or overwhelm, or maybe we don't have like a clear picture or some clarity when it comes to the task that we're trying to do. But it's really not, it has a less to do with being lazy and more to do with those deep-rooted feelings. So if you've ever felt like, okay, you're about to start a new task, or you're about to start something new, or you're about to release a new service, or you have to update your website, or you have to reach out to your clients and send an email, or you have to post something on social media, and you just haven't. Let's say there's something holding you back. There's something that's like, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it later in the day, or I don't want to do it right now. Well, let's look at our feelings when those things come up. So the next time you procrastinate, I want you to think about, what am I really avoiding, or like, how am I actually feeling in this moment? Like, what are the feelings that are actually coming up for you and why you're procrastinating? Is it overwhelm? Is it actually fear? And I really want you to start to kind of uncover what's coming up for you in that moment. And you can write this down. I highly suggest you writing it down, actually, because then we can start to really understand each time you procrastinate what's happening. So you could do it in your notes on your phone, obviously pen and paper, however you like to take notes, and wherever you are, hopefully you can take notes very easily. I take a lot of my notes on my phone, on my notes app. It just works really well for me because I'm generally on the run or on the go when I'm doing stuff like that. Or if I'm in my office, I have a pen and paper, like I have a notebook that I can write like little scribbles and like little notes on. So, but we really want to confront what's coming up, right? So that underlying feeling, a lot of times, if we're honest with ourselves, it's probably a bucket of everything. But also, like, for me, it's sometimes easy to know. Like, a lot of times when I procrastinate with something, generally it's because I just don't feel like I have a clear path, or I don't understand like how I want to actually accomplish that goal or that task. So a lot of times it's clarity for me. Sometimes it's fear of failure. So like if I and procrastinating on coming out with like a program or an online course or a PDF that you can download or something like that, or even like a podcast episode, sometimes the feeling comes from, are people going to resonate with this? Am I going to hit? Is this going to sell? Is this going to get as many likes? Is this going to, are they going to comment? There's all these other things, so that fear of failure kind of comes up, or just general overwhelm. Like, do you just have too much on your plate right now to the point where you're like, I can't even think about this because I have so many other thoughts coming into play that this is not even something I can contemplate. So really think about, where is that root cause? Like, where is that, like I said, the fear of failure, overwhelm, lack of clarity. Maybe you have a low confidence with it. Maybe your perfectionism is taking over. And perfectionism is usually disguised as, we definitely can be more perfectionists when it comes to like the fear of failure. Or are you feeling not aligned with what you're doing? Like, that can be a way that we're procrastinating too, is if you actually don't feel aligned with it, and you're not coming to terms with that alignment of like, hey, I should be actually doing something that I feel more aligned with. Well, that's why you're not completing that certain task that happens. So I see this a lot with business owners. I obviously experience it myself, and that's why I wanted to have this episode today, because, this is definitely something that holds a lot of people back in such a weird, simple way. You know what I mean? And so it's something that we can work on as human beings. It's something that we can really dive deep into and hopefully make it few and far between, right? So, because procrastination, I'm not saying that like you're never going to procrastinate if you really dive deep into what those feelings look like and why you're having those feelings, and actually really, center in on what's going on. But what I will say is, like, you will not procrastinate half as much, and your procrastination won't feel as dreadful, right? So one thing I want you to do is, the next time you feel procrastinating or you feel like you're procrastinating in that moment, write down what you're feeling in that moment and be really honest and raw with yourself. Are you feeling scared? Are you feeling rejection? Are you feeling, all the things, the fear of failure, overwhelm, lack of clarity? Like, what are you actually feeling? And then one thing that I have done, so other than diving deep into those feelings and really kind of tackling what that is and what that looks like, is I'll do small tasks at a time to lead up to the bigger task. So I was actually listening to a podcast episode yesterday, and she had mentioned that she will do the smallest task. So like, let's say you are wanting to send an email to your clients. Well, first things first is, we need to open up your laptop or open up your phone or open up your desktop, whatever you're going to send that email on, right? So first things first, just sit down on your desk or sit down in a chair and get that. So that's like your first step. Then you're like, okay, I'm going to open up my email. So that's your second step. So, and honestly, sometimes when we're procrastinating, we do need to take it like step by step and incremental things just like that. Because by the time you're on that third step, let's say you sat down, you opened up your desktop, you opened up your email, you opened on a new email. Now it's just about you writing it, right? So like, you've gone this far. So at that point, your brain is probably going to be like, hey, we're already this far. Let's just complete it. Or if you've done all those steps and that's where your procrastination is like, now you've kind of gone into, I don't know, you don't know how to go further. You're like kind of stuck. Well, now that's an easier thing to figure out. Like, okay, I've already gotten this far. What do I want to talk about? Like, let's just start with the first sentence. And by the time you get all the way through that, like, you, generally speaking, unless you're out of alignment totally with whatever task you're completing, you most often will complete it, because your brain is like, okay, we've gotten this far. And you've kind of pushed through some of that uncomfortable feeling, that uncomfortable, ness, so to speak. So your brain is like, okay, we're okay. We got this. Like, it's not as uncomfortable anymore. Because some of it is about that, right? Like I said earlier, like, it's really about like, your brain's not lazy. It's like trying to protect you from something uncomfortable, essentially. So, the little incremental steps make it so it's not as uncomfortable. And so your brain is actually able to like achieve that and look at that as a task that it can actually do. So next time you're procrastinating, I want you to really dive deep into this. I really want you to go there because, like I said, 88%, I read 88% of workers admit to procrastinating at least 1 hour per day. 1 hour per day. That's crazy. Now, if you're a business owner, what does this mean? You're a business owner, an hour a day could be you make all your content for the week in that hour. An hour a day could be pivotal when it comes to like making sales. It could be pivotal when it comes to doing your marketing. It could be pivotal when it comes to anything that you want to go forward with when it comes to goals, right? Especially as a beauty professional. So we all know in the beauty industry, there's so many things that we can do in a 5 to 10 minute span, much less an hour. Can you think about that? So like we always joke around of like we can eat all this stuff between our clients or when our clients are changing or so like think about an hour of just dedicated time to something. And the less that you're procrastinating with completing those tasks that you really want to complete, the more achievable they're going to become, of course. You're going to actually achieve them. But more, you need to look at it as like, wow, there's going to be so many things that are going to open up because I was able to complete these tasks. So my one thing too is I like to do business messy. So just take the opportunity, take the chance, do the messy thing, do the action, because things will follow after you take that action, right? But not everything is going to look one way or come out one way or how you planned it. It just doesn't work like that. So take that messy action. But you're always going to miss the shots that you don't take, right? So procrastination sometimes gets in the way when it comes to us just doing things that are really pivotal for bringing more clients in the door or opening our business or sending that email that could change your life when it comes to making sales. Or, if you never ask your next client to upgrade to another service, you will never know that that's something they've been thinking about for a long time. So there's so many different ways that procrastination really does show up. It's not necessarily always in the big tasks, right? So that's why I also suggest you to look into this for yourself, because there's probably so many ways that we're procrastinating throughout our day with doing stuff. And then the overwhelm comes from, because let's say you procrastinated on a task today and you're like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, now tomorrow's tasks that already probably were full have another thing that they have to add on to. Okay, so another thing that I learned from this podcast I was listening to, and just other people, I've heard this from other people as well, so I can't give that person full credit for that, but the brain likes to think of simple things, right? Simple tasks. It likes things to be simple. So think of things in threes. And I've heard this from a lot of different ways. So like psychology really shows us that if you can break things down into threes, it's more achievable. So let's say you have like a to-do list to do that day and you're trying not to procrastinate. Only put 3 things on your list that day. The 3 most important things that you need to accomplish. Only focus on those 3 things. And if those 3 things get accomplished, yes, you can move on to other tasks. Heck yeah. But I really want you to try to make these things achievable, because the one thing that I see a lot when I coach people is the overwhelm takes over to the point where they're just not able to do any tasks. So they get like task paralysis, so to speak, right? You heard the term or heard the phrase analysis paralysis. It happens so much to the point where people will procrastinate on things and analyze things so long that they'll just never do it. And so it's like, I would much rather have you do things messy or do things incrementally than not take any initiative or not do anything at all, if that makes sense. So that's really why these tools help, because these tools over time, so you just doing 3 large tasks or 3 most important tasks a day, you writing down how you feel emotionally or what's coming up when you do procrastinate, all these things that you want to start getting into practice with, they're going to help you with just achieving more efficiently. So you're not constantly feeling like you're in overwhelm. You're not constantly feeling like, things are very difficult and, oh, I got to do this. No, you get to do that, right? And wow, you have completed so much. And obviously then we can start celebrating those wins and celebrating those moments of clarity and celebrating that, hey, I didn't feel overwhelmed by that task, because I will say, like, once you start on this path, like, you will have so many things to celebrate. And all of a sudden you'll be like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't think I was ever going to complete that task and I have it done. And I'm so much happier because this and this and this. Because amazing things are going to happen. So I hope after listening to this, you have a little bit more of a game plan of how not to procrastinate and dealing with your procrastination when it does come up, and have a little bit more of an understanding of what's actually happening when people procrastinate. Thank you for listening, and tune in next week. I hope you liked that episode and found something useful or tip that you can use immediately. My episodes come out weekly, so I'll see you in the next episode.